Hey. Hey. Hey! That's what I want to hear. Welcome to Ketofest 2018. Hey. Hey, Richard. You got the wrong shirt on, man.
Oh, geez. That's my co-founder shirt from last year. Hold on a second. Hold this for me.
All right. We're doing it again. But you know what I think we really need, though, in this presentation? I think we really need a bass. I really want a bass. Yeah. We need some bass.
That's a bit better.
Yeah, that's exactly what we need. We need a little bass.
And I think I need to put my hat on, otherwise people won't know whether I'm Richard or Carl. So we'd like to welcome everybody to Science Sunday. Did you all enjoy Social Saturday? Yeah, it was a lot of fun, right?
The ice cream social. The pig roast.
Yeah, the cooking lessons. How about Pamela Zorn and the cheese making? Yeah. That was...
Dry farm wines. Maybe we do need another microphone.
Yeah. So we'd like to talk a little bit about Ketofest and explain where Ketofest came from. And it's kind of my fault to start off with. This is me in 2014. I was about to lose a toe. This was pretty much the week that I went ketogenic. I did that because my doctor said if you don't get control of your glucose, that ingrown toenail that is not healing could result in you losing your toe. And so I went ketogenic because my certified diabetes educator told me to go on a high-carb diet, high-carb calorie restriction. That's do more exercise. You're not doing enough exercise.
Yeah, that works.
Yeah, sure. And this is me doing almost 10 years of that. I was going to the gym three or four times a week. I was eating the approved diet. I was eating too many calories, clearly, but I was eating the mixed diet that they suggested that I eat. And my doctors just planned on increasing my medication, my metformin and then Januvia, then injected insulin.
Does this sound familiar to you?
So I looked for a second opinion and I found Professor Tim Noakes and Gary Fedke on YouTube. This is in 2014. Round of applause for the professor and the doc. What they said made sense, given my undergrad physiology subjects that I did in the mid-'80s. So I followed them down the rabbit hole, and I found Stephen Phinney and the art and science of low-carbohydrate living. So I went keto, and I was non-diabetic in just 5 months. I went from an HbA1c of 7.5 to 5.2. My trigs went from 233 to 100, and my weight went from 328 pounds to 226 pounds. And that's my journey, but it doesn't end there, does it?
Yeah, so Richard posted on Facebook this picture, and he bragged about it, and he said, I did this doing exactly the opposite of what the Australian Diabetes Association told me to do. That made me more sick and more diabetic. And the only way I did it is by eating lots of fat. Yeah, lots of fat. No sugar, no starch. And I said, yeah, I want to get me some of that. So I was diagnosed with type 2 diabetes at 366 pounds in 2015. Yeah, and I was a little afraid. And my A1C wasn't like Richard's. It was 7.4. And, my doctor, every time I went in, said, how are your toes? Do you feel any tingling in your toes? Every time. No, I didn't. So she put me on metformin. I didn't take insulin, but I just took metformin. And she also put me on a statin. That didn't work, of course. I found the ketogenic diet. I basically said, do you have any objection to me going on a low-carb diet? She goes, no, do it. So I did. When I came back in 3 months later, she goes, you are a rock star. What happened to you? That's what I said. Yeah. And I said, it's the ketogenic diet. She goes, what are you eating? Steaks, butter, bacon. And her jaw hit the floor. She said, dude, your cholesterol is through the roof. You should sit down. You're going to have a heart attack or a stroke and die. And I said, yeah, well, read this research, because that's old thinking. She goes, what? What are we talking about? Cholesterol. And I said, cholesterol is no longer a marker of LDL. Of heart disease. Yeah. And so if you want to measure heart disease, I said, why don't you do something that measures heart disease? And she sat down, she said, we have people who have strokes, and we come in here, we do a carotid artery scan. Carotid artery is the main artery that runs right through your neck on both sides. And, it's usually blocked. I bet I can get cardiology to do one of those for you if I say, you bend over and you huff and puff or something like that. Can you do that for me? I go, great. I had it done, 0 plaquing. So shut up. Shut up with your LDL. So I lost 80 pounds, and I've lost some more since then, and my A1C went to 5.2 in a year. No type 2 diabetes, no heart disease. That's my journey.
So we decided to tell everybody what we knew about this on a podcast. So Carl is a podcaster since 2002. I think 15 years he's been a podcaster of computer programming podcasts. But we decided to do the podcast because Carl was a professional podcaster. We decided to do it as a commitment device to stick him to the diet. And as you can see, it clearly worked. And we last year for Ketofest, we'll talk a little bit about why Ketofest happened in a moment. But last year for Ketofest, we had a motto, pay it forward. And this is really the idea that if every single person takes responsibility for one or two other diabetics and helps them, and then they can go on to help their family and their friends, and each diabetic finds 2 other diabetic and helps them, and each diabetic then keeps going and cures their friends and their family, this is going to cause a geometric progression that will cure diabetes faster than the universe is making diabetics. And that's our goal. So we decided to start off with, we decided to build a Facebook group to support our podcast. And Facebook's not ideal for the kinds of things that we wanted to do. We wanted to have a resource that was searchable, that was a forum for a ketogenic community. And we had our Facebook group, and it was a major pain to manage. We had 20 admins working 8 hours a day almost to keep the group going. And so we decided to blow up the group. But our admins were really functional and really doing a great job. So we built the ketogenic forum, and all of our admins built their own forums and their own groups. And each of these groups is building more. Can I hear some bitches representing the house? And completely keto. Thank you. And how about some IDM? Brenda Zorn. So Brenda went to work for IDM. There she is at the back with Kevin. And Kim started her own group. She has 145,000 people in completely keto. And Daisy and the kick-ass ketogenic bitches have 2,500 members. And the idea is not only do we take personal responsibility for 2 other diabetics, but start working on your entire community. And this is the motto for Ketofest in 2018.
And before we go further with Ketofest 2018, there's a very special person in the audience that we want to acknowledge, and that is the Mayor of New London. Mike, are you here? Where is he? There he is, right there. I remember going into Mike's office and saying, this is what we want to do. And he said, wow, that's amazing. Anything that you can do to reduce the costs of ambulance rides and healthcare for the city is a good thing. And I'm wholeheartedly behind it. And we said, yes. So thank you again, Mayor. So back to Ketofest and growing your community. What we did last year was we put on Ketofest, and we brought what was it, 160, something like that, people, almost 200 people, including our administrators and speakers, to New London. And we didn't know what we were doing, right? The registration was screwed up. We couldn't get, stuff going, but we made it, and we all had fun. This time we did a lot more because of one very special person, Louise Reynolds, and Andrew Skeet, her husband, who organized the task force of volunteers.
We call that task force Louise's Army. So anybody who's worn a red shirt, and there's over 60 people have chosen to volunteer for part of Ketofest. So we'd like to give a thank you from the stage to the people involved and responsible for making Ketofest happen.
But wait, there's more.
Well, there's one lazy bugger on here who hasn't done anything. Carl's done Ketofest in his community, and Brenda's working with IDM and her community, and Kim with her online community, and Daisy with her community. What's this guy doing? Well, I'm announcing here that we're going to have a Ketofest in Australia on September 16th in Canberra.
And I'm going to be there.
We're going to have an Australian flair. We're going to have science for brekkie. That's breakfast. And we're going to have a social arvo afternoon.
I have to translate.
Crikey, we'll throw a couple of shrimps on the barbie. So we'll have a Ketofest in Australia. So this is really, we want to bring back to the theme of grow your own community. We want you to think about your own community, whether it be your church community, a religious organisation, a social group. People out there need to know about ketogenic diets as a reversal for type 2 diabetes. This is something that has only just been announced a month ago in Zurich, that scientists have finally decided, yes, it is possible to reverse type 2 diabetes 3 ways. Come on, let's go. Yeah. So there are 3 ways to reverse type 2 diabetes. There's bariatric surgery. There is an extreme caloric restriction done by Professor Roy Taylor's team in England. And then there is the ketogenic diet as practiced by Verta Health, Sarah Hallberg, and Stephen Finney. So we now have on the record that a ketogenic diet will reverse type 2 diabetes. Yeah. So before we go, we'd like to talk about 2 personal stories. I'd like to tell you the story about Kevin Mountain. Now, Kevin is Brenda's partner. He's standing up the back there. Give him a round of applause. So Kevin and Brenda were on our Thanksgiving episode last year. And Kevin is an Indigenous American, an Ojibwa man, and he got type 2 diabetes when he was 38. And he is in end-stage kidney disease. He's been on dialysis for 4 years. And most people on dialysis, about 25% of people on dialysis die every year. So if you last 4 years, you've done very well. Kevin has basically, his diabetes ruined his kidneys. But he was able to go on a ketogenic diet to reverse the diabetes. Unfortunately, it won't reverse his kidney disease. But he is now so healthy that he is able to receive a kidney donation. And he was actually supposed to be undergoing that transplant operation this weekend. It's been put forward, I think, 3 or 4 weeks. And I recommend talking to Kevin about his experience, his journey. I'm sure he'll be glad to talk to you about the process of end-stage kidney disease.
Yeah. And just a note about Kevin, when we interviewed him, somebody was listening, and that somebody offered him her kidney. Okay. Now, there is one other person whose personal story we really want you to know about, and that is our bass player, Mr. Les Haley. Les, come on out. Come on out here. Let's get a light on him over here. So Les, was in pretty bad shape, as you remember, as you can see from here. I remember you had trouble walking. You your feet were terrible. You just had to sit down all the time. And he was playing with us in band coming to rehearsals. And I said, yeah, man, try some keto. So he finally did. And he came over to my house, had some bacon cheeseburgers on oopsie bread and some bacon. And, next thing I know, you've lost 150 pounds. And I asked him, how'd you do it?
Technically, it was 138 pounds, but that's okay. I don't mind a little exaggeration if it works in my favor, okay? I had eggs. Lots of eggs. I ate bacon. Mucho bacon. I ate cheese. Más cheese. I had cream in my coffee with the coconut oil. And I lost a lot of weight doing it. And I didn't have to exercise very much neither. And I dropped my A1C from 10.2 to 5.6. I no longer inject insulin into my body. I got off almost all my diabetes medicine, and the only reason I still take metformin is because I'm too chicken to give it up completely, but I have a feeling that today is going to change, so. How much insulin were you taking? I had not made it to the point. How much insulin was I taking? I was taking 70 units of Lantus every day. And now I take 0 units, and I haven't taken any Lantus since 2000. Probably a year and a half. I haven't taken any diabetes medicine, inject no insulin for a year and a half. So.
Thank you, Les. You're an inspiration.
I'd like to thank Richard and Carl for putting this on and doing the right thing to educate everybody on this. Yeah, give it up. Carl Franklin, Richard. Yes. If it wasn't for this man right here, I'd be, yes.
All I said was eat bacon. Thank you, Les. Okay, well, give us just a few minutes, and then Miss Nina Teichel is going to take the stage.